This is what women's gymnastics was. It was a nice hobby. It was proper. It was traditional. It was pleasing to the eye. But look how times have changed. This is what women's gymnastics has become. It is revolutionary. It is explosive. It is manned space flight. Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. Welcome to the 1992 NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championship. In this Olympic year, college gymnastics has gotten better, bolder, and stronger. And here inside the Civic Center, 145 gymnasts from 23 schools will be competing for team and individual titles. Hi everyone, I'm Mary Carrillo, and welcome to the 11th NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championships. The first 10 were won by only 3 teams. They are all back here in force, including 2-time winner and defending champions, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Also a 2-time winner, the Georgia Lady Bulldogs. They come into this championships undefeated. And of course, the powerhouse team from Utah, the Lady Utes, a lot of people expecting them to win. Also here, Julianne McNamara, the 1984 Olympic gold medalist. And Julianne, let's talk first about this Utah team. They've been ranked #1 almost every week this season. Why are they so tough?
Utah is a team known for its consistency and depth. They're led by 2 seniors, Missy Marlowe and Shelly Shearer. Missy Marlowe, a 1988 Olympian, has scored 5 perfect 10s this season. Shelly Shearer has been sidelined with an ankle injury. She will only be competing in the uneven parallel bars this championship. Most teams would be devastated by an injury like this. However, Utah has the depth to survive it.
You talk about the depth, the consistency of Utah. The Georgia team has a very different personality, don't they?
Very different style. Georgia is known for their risk-taking. Their routines are packed full of difficulty, which means they're not always as consistent as Utah. They're led by sophomore Hope Spivey, also a 1988 Olympian, has scored 6 perfect 10s this season, and the defending NCAA individual all-round champion. So we have a classic duel here, consistency versus risk-taking. We'll see who wins.
The top 6 teams in the country compete for the team title. 6 women per event, with the top 5 scores counting toward the overall team total. The 4 apparatus are the vault, the uneven parallel bars, the balance beam, and the floor exercise. And in the first rotation, Penn State is on the vault, Georgia on the bars, Alabama on the beam, and Arizona on the floor. Both Utah and Oregon State have byes. And there is Sarah Patterson, coach of the defending champion Crimson Tide, whose team will need to get off to a fast start on the beam. Here's 5'3" senior GINA BASILE. She's from Whippany, New Jersey, and boy, it's got to be tough, Julianne, to start on the beam.
It's very difficult. It's such a mental event, but this is a really strong event for GINA. She mounted there with a shoulder stand. Not a real difficult mount, but the point is to get up on the balance beam. There's a switch sleeve, slight bobble there, back handspring swing down.
Keep in mind there's 4 events going on simultaneously here, so every now and then you'll hear explosions of applause from people watching other events.
GINA's setting up here for a key move. It's a round off, laid out back somersault. This is a crucial move for her. A little bobble there. Hips were a little out of alignment, but she pulled it out. Here she's setting up for a double turn. Bonus points here. Up, up, 5/10 deduction there. That's a big mistake.
So Alabama's in early trouble. We go immediately to freshman NNEKA Logan of Georgia on the bars. This is her first NCAA championship.
There's a lot of pressure on NNEKA right here. Georgia's had a tough time on bars so far, and she really needs to hit a solid performance here. Normally, this is Georgia's best event. She's setting up here for a release move. Look at the height on that release move. She's flying back over the bar. It's a blind move and grasping the bar. Now she's going to set up here for her dismount. She's going to do a double twisting laid out flyway. Let's see if she can stick. Pretty good landing. Great job. She'll score high on that.
Coach Suzanne Yochlin is pleased with that performance. They needed a high score. They've got it, 9.875. Meanwhile, back at the beam, Gina BASILE scored a disappointing 9.0. Let's go now to KRISTI Gunning of Arizona.
KRISTI starts out with a very difficult first tumbling run. It's a double back flip with a full twist on the first flip. Slight bubble on the landing, that'll be a few tenths off. Floor exercise is a favorite event of a lot of gymnasts. It's an event where you can show your personality, and it's also shows the artistic side of gymnastics. Here's her second tumbling run. Double back flip right into an immediate punch front. That's a major break. That'll be at least a half a point. This is the event that requires the most endurance. It's a minimum time requirement of a minute and maximum of a minute 30. This is the point in the floor routine where the gymnast will feel the most tired, and she still has her final tumbling pass to go. She has a fairly easy dismount, full twisting, laid out back.
Well, Arizona can't be happy with that one.
Here's where the problem came. Here's her second tumbling run. You see, she doesn't get her arms up on the double back. She lacks the height, and then she lacks the rotation on the front flip.
Tough score, 9.05 for KRISTI Gunning. And over on the vault, let's watch ALLISON BARBER of Penn State.
ALLISON performs a front handspring front flip with a half twist. Perfect landing. Good height and distance from the horse. Beautiful vault.
The fans are looking for a big score, and they've got it, a 9.925 for ALLISON BARBER's vault. And so Penn State's fast start puts the Nittany Lions a fraction behind first place Georgia, which had 3 bad falls. Meantime, the favored Utes are getting ready for their first activity. They'll be up when we return to St. Paul right after this. Gymnastics powerhouses, go west, young man or woman, to Salt Lake City, where the University of Utah is located. The Utes have won 6 NCAA titles in the past 10 years. They've become so popular, they've averaged over 12,000 fans a meet this season, and their team poster has become a collector's item. But this year, the Utes are coming into the NCAAs as a soft sell.
We have to look at it realistically. Georgia is here with a lot of experience and with everybody healthy. So, you know, don't misunderstand me. We're not counting ourselves out, but if you ask me who appears to be the favorite, I'd have to give it to Georgia.
The Georgia team, I think, is competing with a lot of emotion, a lot of intensity, and we've always felt that that's given us a competitive edge. And I think that Greg is maybe more concerned with that being the reason that we might be the favorite. I can't imagine that he would think it would be gymnastics because they're scoring higher than us and they're more consistent than us.
Suzanne Yochlin's team will sit out the second rotation with the early lead. And Utah will see its first action. That's on the vault. Penn State's on the bars, Oregon State debuting on beam, and Alabama moves to the floor. This is junior Kristen Kenoyer of Utah, ready for the vault.
Kristen vaults a front handspring, front flip with a half twist. Nice landing, a little form break on the entry, but overall a good vault.
A 9.825 for Kenoyer, and she's pretty happy with that one. Meanwhile, Penn State off to a good start in the vault. Here comes senior Jada Hildebrand of Penn State on the bars.
The thing to watch for in Jada's routine is her release move. It's a very unique one, the only one done in this competition. Right there, she releases the bar, does a full twist, and regrasps the bar. Setting up for her dismount here. Piked coming each, a little bobble on the landing, but overall a very nice routine.
A 9.750, a new personal best for Jada Hildebrand, and what a place for it. And over on the floor is DEE DEE Foster of Alabama.
I think this is DEE DEE's best event. She's a powerful tumbler, but also she's a very good dancer, and her choreography is very unique. Setting up for a tumbling run here. Piked 1 1/4 right to a front support. Great routine.
There's DEE DEE Foster's parents looking on. It's the first thing to go real well for Alabama so far. DEE DEE seems happy as well. And so does her coach, Sarah Patterson. Her score, a 9-9. And here is sophomore Chari Knight of Oregon State getting ready for the beam.
Chari is so strong on this event. Watch this mount. It's a move like the uneven parallel bars, cast right up into a handstand. That beam is only 4 inches wide. Most of the time when you're up there, though, it feels like it's only an inch. Chari's going to tumble a series of moves here, which makes it a lot more difficult in combination. A slight break there. Here's a strength move. It's called a reverse planche. Gainer layout flip. There's a half-point deduction there. That's a big mistake. Two back handspring, laid out full dismount, nice landing, but that fall's gonna hurt. Here's where the problem is. She does a split jump, goes into her gainer layout, her hips are out of line, it just pulls her off the beam. From our eye in the sky cam, you can see how far her hips were out of line, it just pulled her right off the balance beam.
Her score, a 9.4, and it looks like it's gonna be an upstream swim for the Beavers. Next up on the vault is Utah's freshman, Kelly Woolsey, one of the best vaulters on her team.
This is a vault that's different than what we've seen, a handspring piked front. One hop on the landing, but an excellent vault.
The Utah team is known for its depth. Here's just another good example of that, the freshman, Kelly Woolsey. She scores a 9.8. That means Utah posts the highest apparatus score of any team in the first 2 rotations. Penn State, the leader, is a round ahead and sounding optimistic.
Every 10 you go. That's right.
We are Penn State. Yes.
We'll be back. Where Utah is moving to the bars and Georgia to the balance beam in their first head-to-head confrontation of the NCAA Gymnastics Championships. The standings show Penn State and Alabama in front, but they both have byes in their 3rd rotation. Amy Trepanier of Utah is up, and though she's just a freshman, she's been part of Utah's bar lineup all season long.
This is one of Utah's best events, and they'll need to hang on to the release moves in order to keep the momentum going. Here's her first release move, right here, a Veronin. Here's that blind release move over the bar. Very strong so far. She needs to stick her dismount. Good landing. On the Veronin, the main thing that needs to happen is she needs to get her momentum going. You can see she whips her legs up and gets the momentum to fly over the bar.
Being congratulated, she got a 9.825. And Utah just continues to post those big numbers. Georgia junior Heather Stepp is on the beam. Last year at this time, she had a terrible elbow injury, but she is back.
Heather has to hit this balance beam routine to keep Georgia in the race. She's setting up here for a combination series. You're going to see a layout backflip in the middle of the combination. Excellent.
Keep in mind that music you hear is coming from the floor exercise.
Look how solid she is on this event in her jumps, in her movements, and her routine has a very high level of difficulty. So back handspring half turn, she had a slight mistake there. There's a cartwheel with no hands. And now she's going to set up for her dismount, a very difficult one of the few being done in this competition. Round off, double back somersault. One step on the landing, but an excellent dismount.
For Heather Stepp of Georgia, a 9.85. And now let's go back to Utah, where the senior, Shelly Scherer, is ready for the bars. A severe ankle sprain a few weeks ago limits her to just this event. Coach Greg Marsden also lost freshman Suzanne Metz for the whole competition.
Shelly is so strong on this event. That's why Greg Marsden wants her in the lineup here. We talked earlier about the importance of executing the release moves. Here's a Pikes flyaway. Shelly does the same blind release move, but in a tucked position. And now she's setting up for a dismount. For a healthy gymnast, it's a very hard impact. She's gonna have to grit her teeth. Good landing.
A gutsy performance from Shelly Scherer. A 9.9. And what an emotional moment it is for the senior and her fellow Lady Utes. Meanwhile, Georgia's Hope Spivey is looking real down after her beam performance.
And Hope's trouble began here on this tumbling series. You can see right here her hips are totally out of line. Her leg comes out, but she pulls it out. But then her troubles continue. You'll see here on her dismount, a very difficult one, round off, double back dismount, too much rotation, and a big deduction.
So for the '88 Olympian, an unusually low 9.25. Here's our first look at super senior Missy Marlowe of Utah, another 1988 Olympian, and the only woman to score a perfect 10 in all 4 events this season.
And Missy really can swing bars. She makes it look easy. Look at the form and the execution. There's that Veronin release. Beautiful extension in her arms and her legs into a blind release move. Now only thing she has left is her dismount. A tuck home in each, good landing. We talked earlier about the Veronin with the momentum up and over the bar. Right back into a handstand. And here's the dismount. Good height and good form in the tuck position.
Teammates want a 10. Pretty close, a 9.975 from Missy Marlowe. And so, after 3 rotations, the Utes take over first place by a big margin over Georgia, with Penn State and Alabama 3rd and 4th. Julianne?
Coach Marsden, you're in the overall lead. You must be pretty happy right now.
Well, I am. You know, we struggled just a little bit on vault. Thank goodness you get 2 chances at that one. So that helped us, actually. And then once we got the jitters out, they really came through and just unbelievable bar sets. So I think we're settled down now and ready for balance beam.
So can you keep it going?
Oh, I think so. We'll see.
Thanks. Mary?
Coach, Georgia's in second place, but trailing by a big margin right now, 1.7 from Utah. Can you make that up at all?
Well, Utah hasn't come to beam yet, and I think if they have some problems on beam, then we have a chance to make it up. But if they nail beam, I don't think there's any way. It's a pretty big margin.
Pretty disappointing for your team?
Yeah, really disappointing. I mean, bars has been our best event all year, and the girls that fell haven't fallen all year. So I know they're really disappointed, and, you know, they're trying hard to come back.
All right. Good luck to you, Coach. In the meantime, Greg Marsden and his wife and assistant coach Megan continue to plot their strategy. Back with more right after this. Mary Carrillo and Julianne McNamara in St. Paul, Minnesota, hard by the banks of the Mississippi River and home to the 1992 NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championships. Halfway through, Utah is in the lead with Georgia leading the pack of pursuers. But there was another competition here, the Individual Event Championships. And no one shined brighter than Utah's Missy Marlowe. She won on the bars and on the floor.
In college gymnastics, the team competition is the most important aspect. But here, Missy was competing for individual titles, and she seemed very relaxed and confident.
It's interesting because she's always worried about her floor exercise. She says, I wasn't born to tumble, and my teammates have seen me land flat on my head. Marlowe says, I've always been elegant and pretty, not powerful and fast, but you can tell she has worked on her strength. Missy also won on the beam, becoming the first woman in history to win 3 individual titles. She was tied on the beam by Dana Dobransky of Alabama, and here's her beam performance.
She looked so assured on this event, like the balance beam might as well have been a foot wide. As she set up here for her dismount, very solid landing.
In the vault, there was a 3-way tie. Tammy Marshall of UMass and Kristen Kenoyer of Utah finished with 9.8125. Julianne, how about that second vault of Kristen Kenoyer's?
It was a great one. A high piked front somersault, and she nailed the landing.
They were joined in that group by Heather Stepp of Georgia, who shared the title. The first 3-way event title tie ever. More team competition after this message and a word from your local station. So far, Utah is in the lead. Missy Marlowe's bar score is the highest score thus far. And keep in mind, Georgia and Utah will be going head-to-head in our final rotation. And in this 4th rotation, the Tide is on the vault, Penn State's on the beam, and Georgia is on the floor. Utah has a bye. Georgia is getting ready. And as the tension mounts, Penn State's Judy Abner is looking a bit worried. Alabama's Sarah Patterson has concerns as well. First up, KELLEHER on the vault for the Tide.
Katherine vaults a handspring, front in a tuck position. Nice finish.
A 9.875 by Kelleher. That becomes her new personal best. And here is Heather Stepp of Georgia taking the floor.
Heather's routine is packed full of difficulty. She competes a world-class routine. Setting up for her first tumbling run. It's a full twisting double back, but she does it in a piked position. Look at the height on that and a perfect landing. Her second tumbling run is another very hard skill. A A front flip, right there, right into a tucked double back somersault. Usually a gymnast will use this point in the routine to slow down and regroup, get their breath, but Heather doesn't do that. She just keeps on going. You can see she's still got a lot of energy left. She's setting up here for a double back dismount. This is so difficult to do at the end of a floor routine. Look at the height on that.
What a powerful and commanding performance from Heather Stepp. Georgia is absolutely delighted.
Here's that first tumbling pass. Look at the height. It almost looks like she gains height on her second flip. And the second tumbling run, a high front flip. And again, look at the arms up. Air Jordan, watch out.
A 9-9 for Heather Stepp. Meantime, on the beam, you can see that Renee Liss, the junior from Penn State, is climbing back on. She's already fallen off, and this is her best event.
And it's so hard after a fall like that to regain your composure and your focus, but that is what you have to do.
Penn State's been going along so well coming into this apparatus, but the beam may just knock them out of contention.
And to be quite honest with you, Mary, it just doesn't have quite the difficulty that it needs. Even with a flawless performance, it's going to be hard for her to get that big score. There's a no-handed cartwheel, nicely done. Now she's setting up for her beam dismount. Round off, back handspring, up. That's a big mistake. She doesn't even have a dismount.
And you know, that fall is symbolic of what has been happening throughout this meet, where the beam has been the bane of the gymnast's existence.
It is imposing. It is intimidating. But it can be mastered. The balance beam. It's known as the psych event, and that's because it's the event that requires the most concentration. It either makes or breaks you. One fall, one mistake, and it's over.
It's almost like when you fall in competitions, you're off the beam before you even realize what happened, you know, and then all of a sudden you're looking around thinking, oh.
There's no room for error. I mean, you know, one little drop of the shoulder, you're off.
For me, it's the most unnerving event, and it takes the most concentration for me.
Repetition is most important on the balance beam, for as the old adage says, practice makes perfect, or at least a 9.9. Skills are first learned on a line. Then the gymnast moves onto the beam, which is surrounded by mats for safety. The beam is gradually raised until the gymnast is comfortable to perform the skill for real. This technique is known as progression.
When you start a progression of gymnastic skills, you're going to take one element and build on it. You start and then you add to it, whether it's in difficulty or adding a twist to it or whatever it might be.
We're looking all the while for consistency of the skill, whether or not the skill is dangerous. I mean, if you miss or if you have trouble with it, is it a dangerous miss or it is just maybe a miss where you lose your balance?
Confidence and concentration, the keys to mastering the balance beam, an apparatus that is only 4 inches wide.
You can be as crooked as I don't know what on a trick, but if you say in your mind, I mean, everything happens so quickly, but if you can say in your mind, I've made this 1,000 times and I can pull this back on the beam, then you're going to make it and you're going to hit.
You can't work balance beam hoping that you stay on. You have to know it, feel it, and go after it.
And while the beam awaits its next victim, here is the effect it's had on the standings as Renee Liss 8.4 keeps Penn State from catching Georgia Keep in mind, Utah is down a rotation, and Greg Marsden's team is up next to try to best the beam. Leads the march prior to rotation 5. The Tide really gained ground on the vault in that last rotation and are a very fine bar team, which is their next event. And while Utah prepares for the beam, keep in mind they are setting a record pace in NCAA championship scoring. Tiny Montana Marsden hopes his mom and dad's team can move into first, while Georgia, on its bye, can only look ahead to the final rotation. The Bulldogs are in the lead with Penn State and Alabama a close second and third. And in this 5th rotation, Bama is on the bars, Utah on the dangerous beam, and Penn State's on the floor. This is Missy Wells of Utah taking on the balance beam.
Mary, a near disaster there on her mount. Missy Wells has so much pressure on her right now because the first 2 competitors scored a 9.6 and a 9.75, and she must hit this routine to keep the momentum going. She has her most difficult tumbling combination coming up. Two back handsprings to a back layout. Bad fall, that could hurt the team.
And while Wells climbs back on, let's quickly join in progress sophomore April Polito of Penn State on the floor.
Watch April play to the crowd with this music. For her final tumbling run, not a real difficult one. A laid out, full twist, right into a straddle jump.
Coach Judy Abner's Penn State team has really had themselves a fine day today. April Polito's floor routine gets a 9.675, while Missy Wells' 8.675 has given the Utes reason for concern. Let's go to DEE DEE Foster from Alabama on bars.
DEE DEE is a great all-around gymnast. Watch this release move from bar to bar, from the low bar right up to the high bar. She has one more key release move here coming up. She releases back over the bar. Very well done. Now she's going to set up for her dismount. A double tuck flyaway. Beautiful form and a great landing.
Really one of the great performers of the day, DEE DEE Foster. Her score a 9.9. Meantime, Utah's coach Greg Marsden is looking a little bit worried. Earlier we saw Missy Wells score an 8.65. Just a short while ago, Jenny Donaldson got a low 9.275 when she fell off the beam. So next up is Missy Marlowe, and you know she's feeling some of the pressure. Her husband Mike and dad Tim are sensing the tension too, because remember, 6 performers compete, 5 scores count. There's already been 3 falls from Utah. They need a strong performance from Marlowe, or a once big lead could evaporate right here.
And here's where we see what Missy Marlowe is made of. This is one of the most difficult positions to be in as a gymnast. You either dread it or you embrace it.
That music is not related to this performance, but it sure sounds appropriate.
Missy has one of her most difficult skills coming up here. Look at that. That's where her experience wins out. She pulled that right over the top. Here's a gainer layout. Beautiful. Right now, Missy's pretty pretty much home free. She's going to be thinking right now about her dismount, a very difficult double back dismount. The landing here is crucial. Great height and almost a perfect landing. Her only little bit of trouble came on this first tumbling combination. Notice how her hips are slightly out of alignment, but she pulls it back over. She continues with a beautiful gainer layout, perfect position, right into an unbelievable flexibility move. Don't try that at home. And watch this, it can't be done much better. Beautiful height and beautiful landing.
So Missy Marlowe comes through again, scoring a 9-9. And Utah looks to be in great position in the race for the team title. The Utes have moved in front of Georgia and have a rotation in hand on the leaders.
That's when you do the best, and that's when you're going to score the best, is when you show a lot of expression.
They are going to be so
and you have a
impressive.
good
Back with the final rotation after this. The Crimson Tide of Alabama is done for the night, holding a most precarious lead, while Georgia's Suzanne Yocklin is hoping for a miracle. Top-seeded Utah looks unfazed as it heads to the floor, looking for the team title. The Utes are an easy striking distance of the championship, trailing Alabama by less than 47 points. On this final rotation, Georgia is on the vault with the Utes on the floor. Alabama's got a bye. Here's Hope Spivey of Georgia on vault. She was last year's co-champion in this event.
Usually a very strong vaulter. Handspring front with a half twist, good landing.
Spivey scores a 9-9, and Georgia finishes, taking a slight lead, but all Utah's Kristen Kenoyer needs on the floor is a 9.325 to clinch the team title. And who better than Kenoyer to do it? Her lowest score this season on the floor exercise is a 9.70.
That's right, Mary. Kristen is the exact type of gymnast you want in this position. Very confident, very consistent. She shows a lot of personality, good form and execution. Not quite the difficulty of some of the gymnasts, but she meets all the requirements. Here's a little different second tumbling run. A laid out front with a full twist. All she has left now is her final tumbling run. She must be feeling pretty good right now. She's going to end with an Arabian front 1 1/4 right into a push-up position. Right there. Great job.
What a terrific effort from Kenoyer, Julianne. Is that good enough to win it?
No doubt about it, Mary. And obviously her teammates agree. Look how excited they are. And here's one reason why. Her final tumbling run, she receives extra bonus points for this. An Arabian 1 1/4 flips right to her stomach.
This is what it's like to win a national championship. Kenoyer's score, a 9-8. They have clinched it. And Missy Marlowe still to go. Marlowe needs a 9.775 to win the individual all-around title over Heather Stepp of Georgia. And a 9.4 for Marlowe would also give her team an all-time NCAA championship scoring record.
This is just icing on the cake for Missy. She starts out with a really difficult full twisting double back. She's really improved her strength. And she's always been a gymnast that the judges love because of her perfect execution and her graceful style.
What better music for the All-American girl than Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA?
Second tumbling run, pike double back. Little low on the landing. Now she can just have fun because all she has left is her final tumbling pass. She's gonna do a combination here. A whip through to that Arabian 1 1/4 to her stomach. Look at that smile.
What a magical way to cap a college career, and we'll have the final results right after this.
I don't need
The individual title as she celebrates with her husband Mike. And for Georgia, well, maybe next year. The Utes set an all-time NCAA team scoring record. They beat second-place Georgia by over 1 point. Alabama is third, and Penn State a strong fourth. Let's go to Julianne.
Great day for the Marsden family. Greg, tell us about it.
Well, it was a great meet. You know, this is a group that's really fought through a lot of things, losing 2 of our top all-arounders coming into the meet, and having the young kids step up and fill in and do a great job in a very difficult and pressure-packed situation. You know, it was a great performance on the part of the kids, and I've got the, best coaching staff in the world. It was, it was just a dream night.
Were you surprised that Georgia wasn't breathing down your neck like they were supposed to be doing?
Well, I know the national championships, a lot of strange things happen because it is a very unique experience, and you've got to be prepared to deal with the differences. And unfortunately, they're a great team, a wonderful team, and unfortunately they just started off and put themselves in the hole, I think, too much on bars, and we were able to take advantage of that.
Congratulations. Thank you. Mary, back to you.
Okay, so the trophy belongs to the Utah Utes, the 1992 NCAA Women's Gymnastics Champions. For Julianne McNamara, I'm Mary Carrillo. Good night, everybody.
CBS Sports coverage of the 1992 NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championships is sponsored by Kellogg's, proud sponsor of our 1992 U.S. Olympic team. Arid XX Antiperspirant helps keep you extra, extra dry. And by Newprint, if you've got body pain, Newpit.